Signalis is an indie survival horror game by Rose Engine. I completed it not long before making this video, and all its amazingness aside, this game is a great example of melancholic game design. Signalis has you playing as Elster, a replica looking for her captain, and for Rand, Ariane. You go about completing puzzles and fighting zombies in this cool-ass underground mining facility called the Sierpinski to get to her and fulfill your promise. The promise being, you know. Throughout your playthrough, you get these glimpses into Ariane's past through these dreamlike first-person sequences. You read about her life and you see the messages about her being sent around. Now, I don't know if this is what was intended by the developers, but I personally tend to find myself imagining similar scenes when I'm longing for someone. All of us will have that one special person in our lives, one person, it's never more than that we just feel so drawn to. Not necessarily romantically, but it's always a little more than just platonically. They resonate this calming and attractive energy that makes you want to know all there is to know about them and spend as much of your time as you can by their side. In the world of Signalis, there are these gifted individuals, or replicas, built with the ability of bioresonance, and it can do a lot of things, but the way Ariane uses it is basically what I described just now in a more physical context. She's essentially transmitting a resonant frequency to physically warp space and time itself, putting Elster through a time loop so that she may finally find her and fulfill her promise. Promise being, you know. You later find out in the game that the reason Ariane and the Elster unit assigned to aid in her mission felt so close is because the person whose neural pattern was used to make the Elster unit replicas was very close to Alina Sio, who is kinda Ariane, but also not. It's complicated. This game is very mysterious and confusing. But you do see the way these two people are cosmically drawn to each other even after all that time apart and one of them not existing anymore. Elster endures all kinds of trials and tribulations for the sake of love. But obviously you're not fighting zombies in a mining facility to kill your girl, so how are you gonna relate to this? Signalis as a game tugs on multiple emotional and thematic strings, so people tend to connect to it in varying ways depending on their journeys. The core of the story is Elster's refusal to let go of something long gone, essentially longing, searching endlessly for Ariane across a collapsing reality. Anyone who has experienced profound grief or the painful struggle of letting go of someone they've lost will feel that resonance viscerally. The replica units are tools the Yusan Empire uses and discards. Elster and others like her are denied humanity by design. This speaks to anyone who has felt reduced to their function, treated as expendable, or denied their inner life by institutions or society. The game's fractured and looping dreamlike narrative mirrors what dissociation, trauma, and psychological unraveling actually feel like for the people that are struggling. Ariane is sick, deteriorating, and in pain. Elster, being her caretaker, creates a dynamic between them that personally hit a little close to home for me. The exhaustion, the helplessness, and the guilt maps closely onto the experience of loving someone with a terminal or chronic illness. The bedridden and caretaker dynamic was also a key pillar in the story of Silent Hill 2, which Signalis draws a lot of inspiration from. The same thing James struggled with to the point of suffocating his wife under a pillow. Whether it was a mercy or selfish killing is left ambiguous by design, which is that way because not even James knows. That's why Silent Hill was so punishing, since the fog draws your horrors from within you for you to confront. James couldn't bear the guilt and shame, therefore the punishment he always knew he deserved deep down manifested in the form of the likes of Pyramid Head. I can't imagine the guilt and the shame one would feel after intentionally taking the life of someone they love. If I can't imagine that, God knows how someone would feel after doing so accidentally. The inner turmoil and mental disaster would be perfect to explore in a game. Well, would you look at that? Omori needs no introduction. The game is well known for the serious themes it goes over, and it actually mirrors Signalis pretty nicely. The game internalizes grief to build an entire psychological architecture around one person's inability to face what they've done and what they've lost, whereas Signalis externalizes it into surreal horror. Omori essentially revolves around Sunny's accidental killing of his sister after pushing her down the stairs during a heated argument. The heart of Sunny's story is guilt so unbearable, Omori and his world needed to be built to protect Sunny. Anyone who has felt responsible for someone else's suffering, especially in a moment of accident or negligence, will recognize the way the mind contorts to protect itself from that weight. Omocat chose to portray depression not as sadness, but as the void left in one's body when the soul is no longer present, shown through the physical metaphor of white space and Sunny spending years doing essentially nothing, staying in his room, dissociating and letting time pass, causing his friend group to drift apart and his parents a mega fuck ton of grief and confusion for the reason their seemingly fine daughter to hang herself. But of course, that was just the way Sunny and Basil covered it up, which plays into his sense of shame and guilt, because even though his sister's death death was accidental, the way he covered it up wasn't. Now, even though I couldn't relate to what Sunny was feeling, I did find myself sharing in the grief of an idealized past now gone. Anyone could share in that feeling. We all have a rose-tinted rearview mirror that makes all our memories with our family and friends seem like the perfect world we took for granted, even if it wasn't. The very reason we make games is so we can share our baggage with the world. All these developers had reason to pour their hearts into these projects, even if not stated bluntly. As artists, we need to output all the years we input, and in doing so, not only do we feel a huge sense of relief and accomplishment after throwing up our heart weight into a beautiful project, but thousands of players who will eventually play our games will also relate and subsequently help ease a little bit of what troubles them as well. Video games are as beautiful as they are because they bring together every art form out there to create a beautiful piece of interactive storytelling that feels unlike anything else. And I find it a little funny that the ultimate art form comes in the image of a silly game. There's a lesson to be learned somewhere here, but I'll leave that for you to find. Well, my name's Quivi, and I wish you a lovely month until I see you again. Take care of yourself now.